Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release, Thine Ears Shall Bleed, and I have to say, I love the title of this film. I think it's a wonderful, interesting title, and just so people know, I watched this through Fandango at home, which used to be called Vudu, and it was $4.23 with tax. Now, I did the standard definition version, not the HD version. That's $1 more, but you know, on a laptop screen that's kind of small, it didn't matter that much. But yeah, independent, low budget film, so that's kind of what you can expect from it. Anyway, Thine Ears Shall Bleed, directed by Ben Bigelow, which it's this individual's first feature length film, and I think for a first feature length film, pretty good. Pretty good. I would be interested to see where Bigelow goes from here. The film is written by Bigelow, as Ben, as well as William Bigelow. I assume they are related. And synopsis of the film. So it's set in the 1800s, and it's about a family who are going to meet someone for a piece of equipment that they have to order, but they can't get it delivered because it's the 1800s. So they're taking their wagon into the woods, or near the woods at first, and then they get lost in these woods. They hear this sound, this kind of almost like otherworldly voice, and then the minister, who is the head of the family, believes that this is the voice of God and decides that, hey, we should be worshiping this. And it's horror, so things go in a horror direction. So you can, make guesses as to what ends up going on with the film. Very interesting concept. I do like it. I especially like the fact that they were setting it in the 1800s. And not only the fact that they were setting it there, but they did a very good job of pulling off making it look like it actually is the 1800s. So with, low budget independent filmmaking, you have to know your limitations, and, being able to appropriately pick out your shooting location and your costuming and your cast and all the props that you're going to need to make the time period you're going for feel appropriate is a big deal. So I think they did a great job of really thinking that stuff out ahead of time and capturing that. The acting is serviceable, although overly dramatic. It kind of seemed more like a lot of stage actors being used in this production, which they have a tendency to overemphasize and be more dramatic because that's kind of how stage acting typically is. Screen versus stage acting, very different. Although a very nice performance by Lucas Near Bruget. I'm sorry, I'm trying my best on that last name. Near Verbruche. Verbrughe. Verbruche. I'm that's my best. Very great performance as the character of Booker. Wonderful performance. That one really caught me. Really pulled me into that character, really pulled me into a bunch of those scenes, and stood apart from the rest of the cast. Not that the rest of the cast was bad. Like I said, serviceable. The rest of the cast did a solid enough job. This individual really stands out. The score is very effective at creating an eerie atmosphere. That's one of the things I like the most about the film, is a very, very nice score that just kind of helps you still feel that 1800s feel and the atmosphere of it, but also give you that nice kind of horror element that keeps things a little bit creepy for the most part. Shooting locations and costuming look great. Also, in addition to the shooting locations looking like what they needed to be going for, they're beautiful. Like wonderful looking woods. Also, these really great rock formations, because they have this kind of like mountain setting that they're in the woods. I think like the mountains are kind of like the edge of the woods, but looks beautiful. And the cinematography is well handled. So when you're seeing these beautiful views of nature, it's very well captured. So from a visual standpoint, there's a lot of nice stuff to look at within the film. Unfortunately, the movie is very slow, and it needed to be shaved down, I think, a decent amount. This is one of those films that's probably closer to being a good short film than it is a good feature-length film. You can fix that. You can get it to the feature-length film by putting in some extra stuff, a little more character depth and stuff like that, because I just feel like they didn't go deep enough on who the characters individually were, and the relationships that they had, felt like it was a little too surface level for the most part. The other thing is I think they could have gone a lot deeper on what's going on, the creepy, messed up thing that's going on in the woods, and that whole horror element. I think that they kind of get surface level with that, and then it seems like they just kind of keep repeating the same kind of stuff. And it does get very repetitive, and the pacing ends up suffering a lot because of that. So that's been my biggest issue with this film, is the pacing is not very good. The family dynamics and how they change do seem logical for how events end up affecting them. Like I was saying, there's not a lot of depth of character and like understanding who these people are prior to where you're picking up with the film. But the family dynamics where you pick it up, and as things end up happening and start, impacting the family unit, I do think that those changes do feel logical for the world that it's being set in. It's like, okay, this does make sense. So from that standpoint, getting realism into this time period through writing was successful. So that's good. About an hour and 10 minutes in is when it gets interesting. It's not a great timestamp, and this was a little bit over. Actually, was this an hour and 40 minutes ish? I can't fully remember exactly how long it was. It was definitely at least a little bit over an hour and a half. And at an hour and 10 minutes is when stuff really, when you're just like, you start to lean in more, and you're just like, okay, we're really getting to like a lot of the intrigue at this point. We're getting that third act. They have some nice sound design. I really did appreciate that. I'm always looking for good sound design. I think that's something that's very underappreciated. So another technical aspect that I think they did a really good job at. And the ending is okay. There are some good sequences at the end that I think had some decent impact, but overall, I thought that, again, they could have delved into the horror aspect of it a lot more, fleshed that out a lot better. And like I said, my biggest issue is the pacing. It's way too long of a film for what it is. It feels very repetitive. But out of 5 stars, half stars, and play, I'm going to go 2.5 stars because I feel very in the middle on it. I got close to going 3 stars because I was a little more on the side of having a positive experience with it, but it makes more sense to me just being split in the middle because I'm very conflicted on it. So 2.5 stars. Like I said, this is a good start for Ben Bigelow. I would be interested to see where he goes from here. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Thine Ears Shall Bleed. Still a wonderful title. Would love to hear other people's opinions if you've seen the film, especially if your opinion differs from mine. Go ahead and put it in the comments because maybe I'm just missing something with it. And there truly have been those moments where people comment and they're like, yes, but this, and then it makes me reflect on that, and it does change kind of how I view the film in certain ways. A key movie that happened with was The Devil's Bath, by the way, about like the pacing and how slow that one is. But anyway, go ahead and make some comments. Do me a favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That's your best way to repay me for all this free content I'm putting out there. Thumbs up if you want to help me out with that YouTube algorithm, which, it's a quick, painless thing you can do. Just click that real quick. And hitting the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm putting up a lot. Regardless, thanks for your time, and until next time, keep it brutal.